Shavua Tov, and welcome to the Women's Jewish Learning Center weekly 2 Minutes of Torah. This week we begin to read the book of Shemot, and the word Shemot means names. And I want to share with you a story that teaches us about what names represent and why they are so important. The name of this story is called What Is Your Name? By Harold Friedman. Once when I was a little boy, I got lost in the May Company. My mother told me to stay close while she shopped for presents. It was Hanukkah time. When I turned around, my mother was gone, and I was lost. The sales ladies were very nice, but I didn't know any of them. The manager came over, and he was very nice too, but I didn't know him either. A whole crowd of people came around. They told me not to worry, but I didn't know any of them either. They were all big people I didn't know. And I was very little, and I was frightened, and I began to cry. Then the manager bent down and said to me, "Little boy, what is your name?" For a second I kept on crying, but he asked me again, "What is your name?" "Dan Siegel," I said. "My name is Dan Siegel." And something wonderful happened. "My name is Dan Siegel." I told him and I stopped crying. I didn't feel a bit like crying anymore. I felt warm and good inside. I felt good because I knew my name. And I could tell it. I could say my name and everyone would know who I was. There was nothing more to worry about. It would be easy to get me back to my mother. Everything was all right. I knew my name, so I wasn't frightened anymore. I knew my name, so I wasn't lost anymore. I was somebody because I knew my name. Once when I was a little boy, I got lost in the May Company. But the other day I saw a boy get lost right in our classroom in school. He knew his name all right, Jimmy Samuels. He even knew his address, but he was lost just the same. As lost as I was in the May Company. At first I didn't understand. Well, I'm going to tell you about it. We were studying about America, I guess, and Miss Statler, that's our teacher, went around the room asking children, and they stood up and told about their parents and their grandparents and the countries they had come from, and what their people had done to build up America and make it a good place to live in, and all the interesting things about them. The boy next to me told some interesting things about Holland, and the girl across the room told some interesting things about Ireland. And then Miss Statler called on Jimmy Samuels, and Jimmy just sat there. Miss Statler looked at him and said, "Jimmy, surely you're able to tell something. You're Jewish, aren't you?" I looked at Jimmy, and right away, I knew he felt just the way I did that day at the May Company. I could just see it on his face. He got all red, and his eyes filled up. And he looked the way I had looked and the way I felt when I had lost my mother. I couldn't understand why he looked so funny. And then Miss Statler went on, and she called on me. So I stood up and said a few things. I guess I started with the word Jewish, that comes from Judah, who was one of the sons of Jacob, and the name that sticks through Jewish history. The kids were listening all right, and Miss Statler nodded to me. So I told a little more, things that I had learned in synagogue. Some of the things that Jews has done, like getting rid of idols, and fighting to be free from the Egyptians and the Greeks, and working for the 10 Commandments. I guess maybe something about the great men in America who were Jews. I probably talked too long, but then I had learned quite a lot. And then all of a sudden when I sat down, I had a funny feeling. I felt just the way I did when I remembered my name at the May Company and said it clear and loud. I felt good inside, all warm and comfortable. I felt just as if I knew my name. So now I wonder if maybe a person can get lost even if he knows his name and his address perfectly well. If there isn't more than one kind of a name that goes with the person. Seems as if there's a name your family calls you, like Jimmy or Dan, And maybe there's another kind of name that you call yourself inside, the kind of name you get from learning something about yourself and your people, and who you are and where you came from, and what's good and useful about you, so you feel as good as the person next to you, and understand that they're as good as you. My name is Jewish, that inside name, and I guess I'm lucky I know that inside name too. It's the sort of name Jimmy Samuels doesn't know. I guess maybe his parents don't care if he looks lost and his face gets red and he looks as if he's going to cry. I wish they would, though, because you have no idea what a good feeling it is to know your name, to stand up and say it out loud and strong when somebody asks you. You can't be frightened when you know your name. You can't get lost when you know your name. You're somebody when you know your name. Shavua Tov.